on one of the earlier videos there was a discussion over what the different test methods. On this picture I showed earlier, we were talking about the ways the software testing concepts are related to the software process activities, which are talked in more detail in the software engineering discipline. The box here said that all the necessary project and infra-related testing and tools, performance, usability, stress, automation, and so on, indicating that there are test methods in addition of these pre-testing and test planning and testing in levels and so on and so on. So what are these test methods? We already know that the test levels are meant to mean the scale on which the testing is done, but the test methods do not mean the same thing. They mean all the different ways of doing testing. So, for example, on this list I have gathered a number of different testing methods which are usually mentioned in the literature and which are fairly popular ways of conducting testing work in the real-life industry. Of course, there's the black box, white box, and gray box testing, which are more or less the different ways of doing testing work where you put input into the system and see what the output is and see is the output correct, and more importantly, is the output correct or for the correct reasons. There's regression testing, retesting things, test automation, different tools and that sort of things, stress testing, load testing, performance testing for different measurements on how the system performs, also fault seeding, mutation testing, testing how the test cases work, and prototyping, usability, explorative, security boundary value, so on and so on and so on. So there's different methods defined for different needs of testing work. There's ways to measure technical robustness. There's ways of testing the usability aspects, learnability aspects, the performance aspects, security, the data security, or resistance against denial of service attacks, or even something simple like smoke testing, meaning that we take the system into use and see that it doesn't actually immediately, figuratively throw out smoke or fry the electronics, so to say. So overall, what you have to understand is that there's several very same and very different ways of doing testing work, and these are all called different test methods. So test methods cannot be listed simply because there's wealth of them. The list I presented here more or less are the basic situations, but for example something like boundary value analysis or equivalence partitioning, there's entire international standards like ISO IEC 29119, or the Software Engineering Book of Knowledge, or the ISTQB certification and other things, naming several different methods. But what is common for all these different activities are that they are just definitions for different ways of doing testing work. So if test levels indicate the scale on which the testing activities take place, one module, several modules, entire system, and so on, the test methods are just indication of different ways of doing testing work. What methods are used in one project or one type of software testing or quality assurance activity depends on the available tools, the available budget, what is necessary. For example, what are the critical cases? Do we need to know the performance level of the game, of this software product? For example, if we are building a game, do we necessarily need to know on which is the maximum amount of players on the server, or what is the maximum amount of open applications before the platform crashes? Or do we want to just focus on the usability and learnability aspects, which would be more sensible when doing testing on game software? If we are creating a internet banking site, or if we are creating an internet store or web store, then it might be actually important to see how many simultaneous users our system can handle. Also, what is required, for example, that we can sell our software into a nuclear power plant, the automotive industry or airline company or whoever, what's required so that we can actually even sell our product. So, going back into the original picture, which provoked me to do this test methods slide set, says that all the necessary project and infra-related testing and tools, and it means that in addition of doing the normal things we always do during our development process, the different software testing methods simply are an umbrella term to catch all the different ways of doing testing work when we want to ensure that our quality is as good as we need or want it to be.